Every business owner pays for the decisions he makes, whether he buys them or not. And among the most costly are the loss of emerging or key people due to better opportunities. How widespread is this problem? Let me give you some statistics from the 2010 census, which indicates that 90% of all businesses in America have 20 or fewer people. If you include the solo entrepreneurs, that's almost 96%. So why is this a problem, and what do we do about it? What I'd like you to think about is Pavlov's dog. And if you know who Pavlov's dog was, basically he premised as a psychologist that there was always a stimulus and response, and typically if you could marry them together, you could get people to behave in ways or dogs to behave in ways. And what he did, he simply, every time the dogs went to eat, he would ring a little bell. And then ultimately, he took away the food and he rang the bell, and the dogs would salivate expecting food. And my experience with businesses is that we tend to do the same sort of things with regard to leadership and how we behave. And it's not a good or bad thing, it's the way we've been conditioned. It's like if we've had bad experiences with hiring people, we tend to get leery about hiring more, particularly when they leave. So what I've seen a lot of people do is they'd rather hold on to who they have and not train them because they're afraid they're going to leave. Well, I always ask myself, what's better, trained people or ignorance? But having said that, what is the impact of this problem? What does it mean globally? According to a survey done in 2014 by the Global Capital Group, the #1 problem in all businesses is being able to retain leadership. I'm not talking about a little bit, I'm talking about 86% of all respondents said that getting and keeping and motivating leaders is their biggest challenge. The irony of this, and this is the Pavlovian side, is that basically only 13% they had a plan in place to make that happen. So as a consequence, imagine if you're an emerging leader and there's nobody there to mentor you or to help you understand how delegation is influence. How do we move forward with that? The people leave those companies just as they leave the smaller companies. So the question is, where do we go from here, and what's the solution? You know, just like that psychologist, Pavlov, was able to condition dogs, we're able to recondition our own behavior. And I believe that the 2% solution is the easiest way to do that. You're probably asking yourself, well, what's the 2% solution? Basically, 30 minutes a day spent on doing anything can transform your life. That's 2% of your time. So what I'm asking you to think about is, what things in your life do you need to be delegating, and spend 30 minutes a day focusing on what you need to do, and look for ways to fill those gaps where you're not strong so you can focus on your strengths and get others to help you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the old school way of hiring somebody. There are ways you can outsource. There are ways you can get part-time people. There are ways you can actually find people online who will do a job for you project by project, who have the talents, skills, and the experience you need to get it done. Because too many times what I find CEOs doing, they hire what they can afford, but they never get what they need. So the goal here is to be able to give you tips on how to do this. In order to help you, we've got some tips below on delegation that I think can be very helpful in structuring this. And we'd also encourage you to tune in next week for another lesson on leadership. Thank you. This has been Ray Anderson.